It's great to be here to pay tribute to an American hero. Ed, we are just so proud of you and for your service to our nation and your continued service. General, thanks for your soldiers who are awesome. The color guard, the national anthem. I have a lot of confidence as a person, but I could not sing that well, even though I try almost every morning in the shower. And unfortunately for folks on my team, sometimes even in the car, driving places. But it is great to be here and with all of you. And I do want to recognize Major Peterson. Major Peterson, thank you for your leadership as the local post commander here as you serve on active duty with the Rangers. We're lucky to have you here. And of course, other folks, the vice commander for the VFW here for the whole state, and other members of the VFW. I'm personally a life member of the VFW, so to have it here in us all is pretty special. I also want to recognize Ed's wife, Patricia. Ma'am, thank you. You and Ed are partners in this life journey, and it was just great to spend some time with you. I know your son and daughter would love to be here, and they are here in spirit. There's a lot of video cameras, and we will make sure we get them all the footage that we're here. And of course, the colonel that served with Ed, Andy Sanderson, thank you so much, and your wife for being here. They have the flag that Ed, it's faded, the American flag, but they brought it here today, and if you get a chance to see it, it's pretty special. We're here to talk about Ed and Sergeant DeBoer and Ed. I thought the Congressman's remarks and for his leadership in this, I would like just to point out the fact that there is no bigger champion to the American soldier than this Congressman. I joke with him often. If you don't know his story, well, I know you all know his story. He's your Congressman, but Princeton, and then obviously got it was a Truman Scholarship, Marshall Scholarship. He is we joke, Princeton University is a pretty good school, and they have a lot of Marshall Scholars and Truman Scholars, Rhodes Scholars, Schwarzman Scholars now. But last year, West Point, where I used to teach, had 23 Marshall and Trumans and Rhodes and Schwartz. So we beat Princeton last year, academically. General Steimer and I are ROTC graduates. We did not graduate from West Point, either one of us, but it's still a great institution. We're very proud of it. But this congressman who served on the Armed Services Committee, who serves on the Appropriations Committee, you really see the character of people when no one's around, when there's not cameras. Let me tell you, there is no bigger champion than this leader here. I joked because I was, as you mentioned, I was a congressman, and I served on Armed Services, and I served on Appropriations and his subcommittees, and he is younger, better looking, and smarter than I am. So our country's in good hands with him in Congress. But Derek gets it, and the way he fought and his team fought for you, Ed, to make sure that we righted this wrong, that we made sure that we honored you for your gallantry, is something pretty special. And hopefully you will all get a chance to read the citation and the backstory, but on November 29th, again, in Vietnam, far away from home, Sergeant DeBoer's actions that day in leading men in the crucible of ground combat against a tough enemy. His no-quit attitude, even when he was wounded earlier on, should be a message to every American that the greatness of our nation is a love that we have for our brothers and sisters who we fought for that day. The most important thing we can do as a nation is to honor those who, at great cost to their own personal safety, go out of the way in the service of others to save them. Ed did that time and time again. That journey when he was there, after you were conducting an ambush, and they called me out of me to go and continue the fight. And obviously, when you look at it and how they waited all night and they thought the enemy was gonna come. And they thought they were gonna come at daybreak, and then it didn't come at daybreak. And they could hear them wrestle there in the jungles. They felt that they were digging trenches to prepare this attack, and then when the light came, they didn't initially first attack, but then they did. And what he did to prepare his men, and to lead his men, and to push his men, and to call in for support so that others could be saved. And though he was seriously wounded, how he continued to expose himself without any hesitation to answer the call, to push forward. You know, he took to fight the enemy that day. He was suffering great pain, but that no quit attitude is the embodiment of the American soldier. And we couldn't be more proud of you and your family and your brothers that day. It's hard for me a little bit to get choked up about this. You look at the Silver Star, which is the third highest award you can get in the country. We've only given out 150,000 of these in about 80 years. And Ed earned this tenfold. And I'm named after a young man, Patrick Ward, who was killed in Vietnam. He earned a Silver Star, and he gave the ultimate sacrifice, and he earned it by saving others. But that generation of Vietnam veterans who've paved the way for our generation of warriors, we hope our generation, Ed and Andy, and so many of you Vietnam veterans, we hope we make you proud. Because I will tell you, one of the lessons learned as we look at history, we are right now, this September will be 15 years, the longest wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And when the Vietnam generation came home, in certain parts of our country, they were not treated the right way. They were not welcomed home. And you have to remember, our warriors don't choose what battles they go into. It's the political leaders of our nation that sends our men and women in harm's way. But it was the Vietnam generation that made sure that my generation of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, and our generation, they were welcomed home with open arms. And he said to us, brother and sister, welcome home. And thank you for your service. And then to you and so many others, we are so grateful for the leadership and the example of what it is to be a selfless servant, to be a warrior on behalf of our nation. And you and Patricia, when you came back, continue to serve in law enforcement, continue to serve this country and this community. So thank you for being what we affectionately call a soldier for life, a leader of character for a lifetime of service. You earn this today, and we're so proud.